Good evening. I'd like to call the July 9th meeting of the Edison Public Library Board to order. Let the minutes reflect that it is 7:03 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this scheduled meeting has been provided to the public by notices given to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, and Sentinel, posted on the library bulletin boards and website, and given to the Township Clerk's office. Roll call, please.
Ms. Mead,
Here.
Ms. Kraus,
Excused absence.
Mr. DePasquale. Here. Ms. O'Neill,
Here.
Mr. Patel,
Here.
Ms. Pam,
Excused absence.
Mr. Romano,
Excused absence.
and Ms. Leary,
Excused absence.
and Ms. Massey.
Here.
You have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Thank you. All right. Hopefully, everyone had an opportunity to review the June 11th, 2024 minutes of the regular session. The only addition that I could find was that we did not say that Ms. O'Neill had abstained from voting on the May minutes because you were not here. So do we have any further comments or corrections to those minutes of June 11th? All right. Hearing none, those minutes are approved by unanimous consent. All right, now for my report. I hope everybody is staying cool. And I'd like to encourage all community members of all ages to join the Summer Reading Challenge. I was over at the library. I assumed that the summer reading program was for the students, for children. But no, they've got the wheel there. And it was like, no, if you sign up for Beanstack, you can keep a record of your summer reading. And they've got wheels at all of the different locations that you can spin once a week and see what kind of prizes you might win. So it's a lot of fun, and I urge you to sign up for it. I did attend the author program on February 21st. It really was excellent and very well attended, and I'm looking forward to reading Edison by the author Palamishami Dixit. I also attended the June New Jersey Library Association board meeting and the Library Link NJ membership meeting, and I was representing trustees in my recent new role as president of the New Jersey Library Trustee Association. I do think that role is going to be beneficial to Edison. And the State Library and the Trustee Association held the Director Trustee training session on book sanctuaries in June, and I mentioned that last month, and the library's resolution is on tonight's agenda. The next meeting of the Friends of the Edison Public Library is tomorrow, June 10th at Clara Barton Branch, and that is it for my report. I hope everyone had an opportunity to review the financial reports. Did everyone have a chance to do that? And are there any questions about anything, the financial report, the balance sheet, and then we'll wait and move to the bill list? So any questions or comments about that? All right, I hope everyone had an opportunity to review the bill list. And if so, do we have a motion to approve?
Can I
Please.
ask Alan about, something? The bill list is usually pretty concise, is what we have to pay in a couple of pages. This was 10 pages with all the books. And a lot of the purchase orders were the exact same number. Is there any way to concise it a little bit?
This was rushed because of the holiday, and I was out for ALA, So I didn't want to add it quickly and have wrong numbers. That's why I left it the way it came out of the system.
But it comes out of Edmonds like that?
Yes,
And there isn't any way to concise it in Edmonds?
no.
No, huh?
No, because it basically what it's doing is, for example, that was all on one purchase order. In order to get it on a really separate line and concise it without us adding it by hand, every single one of those would come out as a separate purchase order. So you would have, I think, like, what was it, 96? At least 80 purchase orders with each one of them as a separate number.
Yeah, but the idea is to have that one purchase order with the total.
Yes, and that's how Edmund does it. It doesn't do it, it does it by line so that you actually see what's charged, because you could put 10 different accounts on one purchase order. Say we were buying supplies but different kind, you could put it all on that one purchase order. It gives you a line by line of each one of those things. It adds it up on the physical purchase order, but it doesn't add it up when it comes out of Edmunds per se. So, I mean, we can start doing that. We need just about a couple of extra hours to reduce that. But to me, that actually shows you what that's for. If we use one purchase order that has different things on it, all you see is a bottom number, and you don't see.
Yeah, I just see books, and I see the purchase order number, and I see, books, and I see an amount.
I mean, it's okay with me if that's the board's prerogative. We can move to that in the future. It's just not the way it's coming out of the system. So I want to make sure if that's the way everyone wants it, we'll spend the extra time when this comes out for that purchase order to take all those lines away and just use the total.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it at the next finance committee meeting, I guess, right?
Yeah, we could do that, and maybe,
Fiona?
yeah, and in the meantime, is there any chance that Edmunds is able to provide a different format instead of by line, or not really?
That's how Edmund operates.
That's just the
by
way
line.
it
Yeah.
goes? Okay,
I
then I
mean,
guess
it
we will
is.
discuss it at the next finance meeting.
Yep, the only way you could do it is every one of those things would be on a separate purchase order.
Okay, then I'll make a motion and we approve the bill listing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, or roll call votes, sorry.
Ms. Mead,
Yes.
Mr. Di Pasquale? Yes. Ms. O'Neill,
Yes?
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
and Ms. Massey.
Yes,
Motion carries.
all right, thank you. And then did you want to mention the 2023 audit?
I just wanted to let the board know that probably, I would say hopefully by the end of this month, it will be completed. We should get it back. And so we could have a finance committee meeting to review it before the August board meeting, hopefully.
All right, thank you. Do you want to move right into your report?
Sure. Just want to let everyone know we have the bookmobile, the Sprinter van is back and working, thanks to Farber working with the Ray Katina. We finally got that resolved, and we have been using it. We're going to start to be scheduling it shortly to expand what we're doing. The Library Foundation is working on their brochures for the capital campaign. The Friends is actually meeting tomorrow night, so there's no new report from the Friends. The North Edison branch, as I mentioned in my director's report, is moving along swiftly. We're hopeful that it will go to the planning board for courtesy review at their next meeting sometime in either July or August. Main library branch, we are in the process of working with our space planner on the furniture designs and waiting for, as I mentioned in my report, some quotes for the remediation on that building. Um, the Clara Barton branch, nothing really new there, although if you have looked at the schedule of programs, Clara Barton has a full schedule of programs in July, and we are very hopeful that that will bring in more of the community and get that started. Bookmobile is doing bookmobile business around town. It's really kind of fun to see, particularly the kids who've never seen it, when we pull into a stop, how excited they are. And so it really is that and the Sprinter are principally our way of getting out into the community. We'll also be working with the township to try to do more and more of their festivals. And we probably not this week, but next week we'll start going to the farmers market on Thursdays and see how that goes to let people know that the library's around. I also mentioned in my report the computer migration, the automation that all the libraries have gone through has been a slow and tedious process with a lot of errors. It has not been a very pleasurable experience, and we're looking at, as I mentioned even last month, we're looking at some options for the future, whether the consortium is really where we need to be, or we need to be independent on our own, or we need to form a partnership with one or two of the other libraries so we have more control on how things run. So I guess that's kind of my end of the report. Deborah, anything? None? Want to talk about summer reading? I mean, Pat mentioned it already. I hope that all of the board members would sign up for the summer reading. And also, we'd love to see you at the library programs. I think that would be a good opportunity. Pick out your favorite topic, and we're probably going to have something on it over the summer. Today, I think we had, the best day I could say, today was a wolf day. We had the wolves in today at all three branches. The kids loved it. The parents loved it. And they actually really were a big hit. And I'm going to kind of say, even my experience in every library, the animal programs are the ones that are always the big hits with the kids. And especially to see a wolf up pretty close was cool. I've had this group at other libraries, and they're really, it's really cool to see the wolves up close. And some of the staff went in to, watch the program, and at the end they got to take their pictures. So I think that's going to Michael for one of the upcoming library newsletters with the staff picture of the wolves. So we've got some great programs coming up. Yoga, genealogy, Ethel Merman, vaudeville, anything you could think of. The Balloon Man was here this week, and the kids loved the Balloon Man and the Bubble Man. And, that's kind of what we do. I mean, we are a 365-day-a-year cooling center, heating center, newspaper center, reading center, any kind of center you think of, that's what we are. So we are always here, and now with the expanded hour on Friday and Saturday, I looked at statistics in all three branches. People were there between 5 and 6 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. Books were checked out. And on Sunday, we almost reached 1,000 items checked out from the branch on Sunday in the 5 hours. So people are using the library, and it's not just because it's hot. So, well, oh yeah, actually, it's hot because people are using the library. So that's kind of my report.
There you go. Deborah, did you want to add anything? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to committee reports. Facilities did not meet, but of course, there was an update on the needed remediation at Maine, and we had hoped that we would have some bids to review by this meeting, and I don't know whether we'll really require a special meeting to approve a bid, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how quickly any of the proposals come in. The Finance Committee did not meet. Personnel Committee did meet. And personnel to review the, yeah, we did meet to just review the,
And you were there, Fiona.
you were there too.
It was a long meeting.
It was a very long meeting. It was a very long meeting.
And we
And
had, yes, and if you remember, we had sandwiches.
it was that long. And policies and bylaws did not meet. And, oh, we have a strategic planning listed. And once again, strategic planning is being worked on by the staff. It's not really just the trustees who are on the committee. So hopefully, I know with branding and with the review of the strategic plan that took place at the staff day, I'm hoping that maybe there'll be some additional information that we receive about progress. As far as I know, with our unfinished business, we have the shared services agreement listed. I'm very sorry to report that there's nothing further to report on progress. The last we have heard is that the township has both the agreement that the trustees approved in November of 2023, that they're going to compare with the agreement that was proposed by the township attorney in January of 2024. So we haven't heard anything further on that. Now, moving on to new business, we have, I hope everyone had an opportunity to review the resolution to designate the township of Edison Public Library as a sanctuary library, or otherwise a book sanctuary. And I
Didn't we already do that with the policies?
no, you know what we did? We reviewed it last month, or we discussed it last month when it was mentioned that at the NJLA conference, Hoboken had shared information, that they had really started book sanctuaries in New Jersey, but book sanctuaries are happening all throughout the nation, actually. So yeah, what we did discuss is that in terms of our policies, we have an excellent materials selection, collection development policy in place already. And so this is just the next step to acknowledge the library as a book sanctuary. But let me see, I can read it if you would like. If I can find it here.
It's probably good, or we can read it at our
Would
end if
have
you
it right
like.
there? Yeah, if you have it right
Whichever's,
there. Okay, thank you. All right, let me move the technology around. All right, a resolution declaring Edison Public Library as a book sanctuary. Whereas the freedom to read is a human right constitutionally protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and individuals have the right to free inquiry and the equally important right to form their own opinions. And whereas books do not require readers to agree with topics or themes, but instead allow readers to explore and engage with differing perspectives to form and inform their own views. And whereas over the last several years there have been a significant increase in censorship activities in the United States, resulting in books being removed from library shelves and schools. And whereas book bans often seek to impose restrictions on students and families based on the political, cultural, or religious beliefs of the individual calling for book bans. And whereas librarians are professionals trained to not impose their personal thoughts and opinions on which ideas are right, but to make knowledge and ideas available so that people have the freedom to choose what to read. And whereas books, particularly those written by and about outsiders, newcomers, and people from marginalized backgrounds, are facing a heightened risk of being banned. And whereas numerous bills have been introduced in states across the country that would restrict books and curricula on race and gender in schools. And whereas the Edison Library Board of Trustees declare their opposition to the banning of books in any form, and whereas the Edison Public Library previously adopted the Library Bill of Rights and supports the freedom to read, including the adoption of the American Library Association's Freedom to Read statement, and whereas the Edison Public Library has a materials selection process that is fair, deliberative, equitable, and accessible to the public, as set forth in its materials selection collection development policy adopted by the Library Board of Trustees on April 12, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the Edison Public Library Board of Trustees declares that the Edison Public Library is a book sanctuary. As a book sanctuary, the library shall be a place where people can borrow and read challenged books. Endangered books are accessible. We host book talks and other events about banned and challenging books, and people can be educated about the history of book banning and burning. And that is the end of the entire resolution. Are there any comments or about the resolution, or do we have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Mead,
Yes.
Mr. DePasquale,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
and Ms. Massey.
Yes,
Motion carries.
excellent, thank you. That's excellent. And I think I shared at another meeting that, Hoboken is a book sanctuary. The Hoboken Public Library is a book sanctuary. What was really interesting about the whole thing was that Hoboken, the city of Hoboken, also decided to become a book sanctuary. So I don't know whether Edison Township or the council will want to decide to declare Edison Township as a book sanctuary. But this is excellent, thank you. Before we move into public comment, Margot, do you have any update for the council?
There we go. Yes, I do. The council 2 weeks ago approved the budget for 2024, so we are good to go, and we are happy about that. I have a question, if I may, during this time.
Yeah, of course.
Someone on Facebook had posted talking about the mercury that was at Minnie Beeville that had been removed. says, now we have tons of asbestos at the main library. Is this, that's news to me, but I don't know if you have any other information.
The only information that I am aware of is that when they went to remove the carpet, the most recently installed carpet at Maine on the upper level where they're doing the current renovation, where they're starting the renovation. Unfortunately, we all know that many of our homes and buildings have asbestos in it. And if it's undisturbed, you're absolutely fine. Unfortunately, when they started removing the carpet, I believe like a few tiles came up. But once those tiles came up, everything needed to be checked, and it was determined. I have learned that if you have 9 by 9 tiles, most of the time that means that they can contain asbestos. So what has happened is that it was confirmed that yes, there is asbestos in the tile, and there's also asbestos in the mastic or glue that they use to put these tiles down. And it's all contained. They came in, and now we're at the point that the report has been submitted, and that's when we were referring to remediation. That's what it is. Now the companies are coming in to to provide bids. We don't have anything at this point. I believe most of them will visit the site before they submit any kind of bid, and it will be done, hopefully, as soon as we can approve a company to do this remediation. And it's interesting, you raise an interesting question. We know that the library, and the mayor did confirm that the library is a separate entity, but we also know that the township owns the library buildings, so we don't even know whether the township would, you know, provide any financial assistance in terms of removing the asbestos. It would be certainly appropriate, but we don't know. We haven't come to that point. We really have no idea what this is going to cost. I have no idea.
I will raise that during council discussion at the next meeting on the 22nd.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think it's a worthwhile point. With the asbestos that was found, was anyone put in danger at all with the toxicity?
No, because it's on the top floor. The top floor is completely closed to the public. Nobody is up there. Nobody is working up there. The only people who were working up there were the contractors, and then they stopped, so they're no longer working upstairs. So unfortunately, the project is on hold until this remediation can be done.
Do you know how long that will be?
Honestly, I know little or nothing about asbestos removal. I don't know.
It's slow and arduous and expensive.
Is it? Have you experienced?
Through somebody that I know, a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I don't know, do you want to add anything? I'm certainly no asbestos expert at all.
I mean, basically, I would have said the same thing. Once the tiles came up, they stopped and said, basically, we need to check and make sure. So it really didn't even disturb very much. It was, basically a couple of tiles just started coming up and they stopped. And then we quickly worked with our architect to get a company in to do a full report for the entire building, so that we could be prepared for when we work on the first floor. And so we have had the architectural company contacted 4 or 5 companies to come in. I think we've had 2 come in. They've kind of come in, they got to inspect, they got to see whatever. I was there.
There was asbestos. How did they know it was asbestos?
They saw the 9 by 9 tiles.
And just because of the size?
Yep. The size and the date. Our bill, oh, that's nice. Oh, it makes it very atmospheric. That part of the building is 1963. That's the original part of the building. So it's not even the whole second floor. It's just the original part of the building. So on the first floor and second floor, it's slightly different. But on the second floor, it's approximately half because that whole back area wasn't added until late in the 60s or the 80s. So that's why they were starting at that other end. So we have 2 people come in so far. They're working with our architects. They'll send them the quotes. And I mean, I was there when one gentleman came in today, and he was like, "Oh, this doesn't seem too bad. I've been to worse." I mean, there's nothing. It's empty up there. So they don't have to move furniture. They don't have to do anything. They're just pulling up the carpet, remediating. And nothing was exposed in the air because they stopped like within 10 minutes once they saw the stuff coming up.
Well, if I can, Alan, I know that you had talked that, just want to raise the point that they did come in and do air quality tests.
Yep, they did that too. Yep.
And just by way of background, because I do have some experience with this there, so it is in the, it's in the actual tiles. The air quality shows it's not what's called friable, which means in the air and it's not exposing anybody. At some point, when they do this remediation, they're gonna close everything off. There's a procedure and 2 reports that were provided to the library about how it needs to be done, essentially it's like a hazmat operation, even though it's not a danger, but it actually becomes, an issue for the people that are removing it. So they have to work with it, actually pull it up. In a process, a tile may break or whatever, and that's what they're really guarding against. So there's no danger to the public at this point. And as Ms. Massey said, if any house that was built in 1964 or any building prior to I think it was in the late 70s, is going to have asbestos in it. Just like you're going to have lead paint in your walls. If you scratch deep enough and and you put your lead tester on from Home Depot, you'll see that. But that lead paint is not a problem for most homes if it's underneath all those other layers of paint. And that's what happens here. When they pull things up, they disturb things. So they have to make sure it's disturbed in a way that's environmentally safe, that's safe for people through all these procedures that have been
Will it
put in
require
place.
the library to close to the public?
When they actually do the work, I haven't seen the physical location. It'll depend on whether that portion can be walled off so that it doesn't, because they're gonna have air quality and all kinds of, fans and they double bag everything and all of that. So I don't know if the first floor will have to be closed for some portion of time. It may need to be, but that's what their experts are gonna tell us, I guess.
Thank you. Tony, did you have?
So the rug they were pulling up, is this rug like 30, 40 years old?
You mean the
just curious
carpeting?
Yeah, the carpeting.
We don't know when that carpeting.
I
was
don't
put
think
down.
it is.
I'm just curious that.
Yeah, you know what, you raise an
What
interesting
causes
point.
that?
I think the belief was that the carpet has been changed a number of
Right.
times since 1963, and since the entire, additions, all the additions were
Right.
put on. If the glue had not dried out and allowed the tile to come up, it would have been, if the tile had just stayed adhered, it would have been fine.
Right.
It would have been contained, and it wouldn't have been, bothered at all. But because it lifted, because part of it lifted up, then everything came to a halt. That's what has to happen.
Right.
Yeah, because basically the kind of gluish on the back of those carpet tiles
Right.
adhered so well to the tiles. So when they pulled it up, everything came with it. So, and you could even see on some of the tiles they pulled, the backs of the carpeting. Well, if you've been sitting on that floor for 20 years, we all would have dried out by now. But not, not making fun of it, but basically, that's really what happened. It just adhered to that tile so well, when they pulled the carpeting up, the tiles came up. And actually, if you were to go up there, I mean, they started it and then they stopped. And there's a couple of places where the company went to do testing. Pretty much the whole carpet's still on there, waiting for it to be remediated. It wasn't like they pulled all the carpet up, whatever. So everything's where it needs to be until we get the folks to come in and remediate. Hopefully, we'll get something there. I would probably hope that we would get some quotes by the end of this week, beginning of next week, and we may request, depending on what they come back with, we may need to request a special meeting for approval.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So they're
Are there,
not just doing that little section, they have to do the whole section.
They have to do
Yes.
the whole first floor.
Whole first-
Yeah, I mean, that's not the whole one, because half of it's still good,
But the
but
section
yeah.
that needs to be done,
Yeah.
it's not just a little 5 by 5 foot area, it's a whole.
It's pretty much at least half the second floor. Some people call it the second floor, some people call it the first floor. To me, it's, or the upper level. Yeah.
yeah. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, thank you for raising that. Now, let's open to public comment. Is there any public comment? I did mention about the Friends meeting tomorrow night at Clara Barton. All right, and I don't believe we need a closed session. So we don't need a closed session. Do we have any announcements? All right, well, I hope everybody has a wonderful summer vacation if you're going on vacation in July. And I hope we have enough people in August. And we'll find out if we need just check your calendars and see if your availability for a special meeting, if that's needed. But, all right, so our next regular meeting is Tuesday, August 13th, here at Council Chambers. And then we'll see what happens if we do need to schedule a special meeting. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned at 7:41. Thank you. Stay cool.
I think it's quicker.